My people, let's expand on the Dorrinthians, the G-types from the eastern continents. There were no sub-races that were submitted for this one, so instead of leaving it at that, we're going to give it one last shot. In the comments section below, drop an idea for a sub-race for this setting's most common race, the Dorrinthians. The one with the most likes will become the sub-race. Let's continue. Dorrinthians. Mesa Mart Tabloids states, the legendary spearfishers of the ocean territories, Dorrinthia, are one of the planet's earlier sea masters. Because of this, they are also the first nation to ever go to war with the fishmongers. This is mostly the result of the nation's long history of sea hunting practices. Even in the present, the relations between both peoples remain tense. Ooh, another deep-seated rivalry. I can see this being a reason why the Azurian fishmongers have chosen to remain neutral and distant from the West, because, they wouldn't want to have enemies on both sides of them. The Night Parade. The Night Parade was a nomadic people amongst the mainland known for their parades of bright color and large wood puppets. Even after becoming part of the regular nation and settling, the culture is still celebrated bi-monthly with large holiday events. The Night Parade. The use of those large wood puppets, that signifies to me that the Dorrinthians are still very much in touch with their traditions. All right, Henri says, Dorrinthians traditionally organize their families into close-knit clans that are often highly specialized in a trade. Ooh. All right, and that inspires the first keyword for the Dorrinthians, and that keyword is prestigious. With the keyword like this, you can make it so that whatever you provide, or you could justify that whatever service you're providing or whatever you're creating, it carries with it a sense of renown and value. So this can pretty much simulate the fact that Dorrinthians are super specialists, making what they touch somewhat unique. Hey, that might be the best X, but this was made by Dorrinthians, and just look at it. Isn't it cute? Anyway, Dorrinthians were one of the first races to immigrate into Haven and are generally a common sight. Slow motion. I like this piece. And let me tell you why. I'd really like for the player base to try and clear from their mind how they imagine the populace looks. Like, how the populace in this world looks. If it resembles anything like reality, erase it from your mind, because I challenge and encourage you all to envision what these races look like to you based off of the lore. Starting with Dorrinthians. Imagine these Dorrinthians. Imagine them as a common sight. And then from there, begin to imagine the other races that we've gone through, sprinkled about. Dorrinthians are very personal people and have a great deal of respect for others' preferences. Good to know. Dorrinthian family names are split into 3-syllable parts: AAA, BBB, CCC. Example: Fu Niochi. Fu Niochi. Dorrinthians have almost a symbiotic relationship with birds, and it's very common for a Dorrinthian to know many different bird calls. Ooh, brilliant. I like that. So it's official. To all players looking to play as a Dorrinthian, you should most definitely play off of this lore with the bird companion build. A bird companion build, or even better, a flying Gammamon. Gamma monster. Henri leaves with us a traditional Dorrinthian poem about home. All right, here it goes. Warm, sun has risen. Thick forests of lush leaves. Our towers reach out skyward. It's a good piece. It's a good poem. What's the name of the poet, Henri? Henry, go into the comment section and tell us the name of the poet who wrote that amazing traditional Dorrinthian poem that all poetry in Dorinthia would grow off of. All right, Jacob Bastian. He writes, strong central government. The government of Dorrinthia is one that is rare amongst its peers on the world stage in a way that is a very old and very stable regime. The imperial family holds most of the power with some small amount given to different nobles in the realm to make them feel important. There are little to no power struggles in the imperial court, as killing or betraying one's own family is considered the largest and most dishonoring of taboos, and betraying the imperial family is an easy way to find an assassin's knife in your throat. Rhaelagarian rival. For the past few centuries, Dorrinthia has been one of three great superpowers in the world alongside Nebu and Rhaelagar, each nation checking the others and maintaining a balance of power that lasted for centuries. With the destruction of Nebu, however, this all changed. Dorrinthia and Rhaelagar have been rapidly filling the void left by Nebu, claiming resources and allies left behind by the former power. This has led to massive tension between the two powers as both strive to outdo each other. The rest of the world bunkers down as a more aggressive Cold War becomes the new status quo of the world. This was bound to happen because, you know where it all started, right? The Nebu exodus just seems to have been the final straw. If you recall, the nation of Dorrinthia was seeking justice for the murder of Makai by the hands of the Rhaelagarian king, R-Type X. Remember, Makai was named Dorrinthian. He was named Dorrinthian of the Year in Haven. Him and the Thriller, because when Makai rescued those, who was it? What were they called? The Servi Day hostages from Hunter Golf's estate. They named him Dorrinthian of the Year, and then not too long after that, R-Type X murdered Makai in front of the Gate Center, in front of everybody, cameras, and Dorrinthia, they were angry, and a lot of tension arose because they wanted justice. They were calling for R-Type's death, or they were calling for consequences. And ever since then, tension started growing between the two nations. So that exodus and this power and this land grab is definitely going to be the what do they say, the thing that breaks the camel's back. What's the thing? Is it a needle or is that a haystack? Is it the thing that breaks the camel's haystack? I don't know. The three cities of wonder. Haven may be the city of the world's desire. Haven may be the city of the world's desire, but Dorrinthia has something they deem just as good. The three cities of wonder. Quakina, the city of jade. Halona, the city of ruby. And Cibola, the city of silver. As their names imply, these vast metropolises are made completely out of jade, ruby, and silver, respectively. They are located equal distance from each other in the heart of the Dorrinthian continent. Quakina, Halona, Cibola. Sonically, those are some really authentic ass names, man. You ever hear a word or a name that sounds alien to you because you've never heard it spoken or anything very like it at all? That's kind of how I feel with these. I feel these are like that, and I'll always associate them with these massive cities made of their respective materials. So allow me to add some spice to this, because we got to connect dots, right? So if you notice, and I don't know if it was intentional, if you notice, the names of these cities have a very similar sound to the names of functions within the Fist of the Endless. Chishki and Jakin. And there was another one. The Fist of the Endless was a precious Dorrinthian artifact. Remember the twins, the brothers and the sister. The Nagamatos brought that over from Dorrinthia as a bargaining chip. And this artifact happened to be the arm of a necrofiend god, which we later learned was obviously placed in the tank by Deftude, who we learned that Deftude believed that the Dorrinthian race was mentally superior, hence why he made Tempest's clone a Dorrinthian, Krona, and why he decides to use a Dorrinthian as a vessel. He's a lich, remember? And he appears as a young Dorrinthian. So he's using it as a vessel for himself. Bloodvein Dynasty is also a clan of Dorrinthians who migrated from Dorrinthia, whom Deathtude implanted himself into. So is it possible that Dorrinthians have deep ties to the alien Necrofiend race? I don't know. That's just a theory, you know? All right. Loyal to a fault. Dorrinthians are a people that take loyalty much more seriously than others. Once they are loyal to something, they will never abandon it, be it a person or a religion or some sort of cause that they have devoted themselves to. They would gladly die to protect what they are loyal to, and if it is going down, they will go down with it. As such, they are extremely cautious with who or what they give their loyalty to, making it very hard to actually gain their loyalty. Once you have it, though, you will have it for the rest of your life. And that inspires the next keyword. We're going to make the next keyword honor. Okay? I think this is a good keyword for them because it associates them with a powerful word that can mean as much as it does in game as it does out of game. So think of it this way. Players who choose this keyword could use it as a token of trust, you know, so other players know that they can depend on you. Or in game, you could use this to justify why an NPC would trust you or trust you with responsibilities and so on and so forth. So remember, these keywords, they are vague intentionally, but they act as a bond that you can use to tie you to other topics and so on and so forth. And honor is a good one for Dorrinthians. All right, tech race. Dorrinthia, thanks to its stability and isolationist nature for a time, was lagging behind other nations of the world in technology. They quickly woke themselves from this slumber. However, with the rise of Anarchy 12 to power, they saw his highly advanced creations and realized that he could do massive damage to their nation if they could not match his technology. So this led to a technology race with Anarchy, which Anarchy won. And other nations of the world have started to join as well. Thanks to this renewed vigor for scientific advancement, Dorrinthia is now one of the most technologically advanced nations in the world. I like how you tied that to the whole Anarchy saga. I would also like to add that an early pioneer of the tech landscape in Dorrinthia was Makai Funoichi. I'm going to call him Funoichi. He was the head of a tech company. Very, very Tony Stark-like in the early stages of his character span. You know, he had that armor that I forget. I think it was called the Dragon Mark armor. I can't recall. I forget the name of his group as well, because he didn't really touch on it that much. He just mentioned it, and then I think like once he got killed by R-Type X, that kind of spun him in a different direction. But yeah, I like the tech race thing. That's pretty cool. Inar Vargar, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Inar Vargar, he chimes in, or they chime in. Dorrinthians are credited as the first people to have successfully produced power armor, speak of the devil, and to this day are considered to produce the finest suits that money can buy. That goes perfect with Makai, you know, the first Dorrinthian character. You know, he made an armor suit, you know. So, you know, back to that prestigious keyword. You know, with the prestigious keyword, should the player choose it, they will be able to make the argument that whatever they create carries with it that prestigiousness. You know, it might not be the best, but it can be perceived with value. So in this example of this, they're known for their power armor. Hey, if you choose the prestigious keyword and you are the type of character who creates things and that's how you make a living for yourself, you can kind of expect that same reputation with whatever you're making with that prestigious keyword. So keep that in mind. Dorrinthians have an incredibly advanced space program and are widely considered to have the largest military presence in space of any people. Damn, Anar Vargar, you've done it. You've done it now. I will allow this. Not now that the foundation of the story has been laid, everything regarding the tank and your existence, I can now allow certain things to come about. So I'm going to tweak this a bit because this can't have been common knowledge, right? Due to the memory and awareness suppression. So we will say that the Dorrinthian space program has been kept a secret and still is a secret. This gives players looking to play as a Dorrinthian the opportunity to create Gamma Haven's first Master Chief. The risks of using firearms on spacecraft have led to the popularity of plasma-based melee weapons known as Karuis or Karu swords, literally light swords, among Dorrinthian military, and they are something of a cultural icon amongst the Dorrinthian in general. And Anar Vargar's on a roll, man. The Dorrinthian, it's official, the Dorrinthian military use plasma blades. Dorrinthians live under a dictatorship in their homeland, and those who live in Haven are escaped refugees. Their self-proclaimed God King, a gamma type named Harai Koetsu, whose mutation allows him to control the minds of those around him, has been pushing to colonize other planets in the system. Okay. Gonna work with you here, Anar Vargar. So, we want this to fit with the other lore, right? So what we're going to say is that a portion of Dorrinthia, is under that dictatorship that you mentioned. Maybe one of the 3 wonder cities, right? Maybe one of the cities is under that dictatorship. We'll say starting now, Dorrinthians are unable to leave that particular city or whatever boundary this small population is. And finally, we'll say that Harai Koetsu is some sort of big factor in the context of this secret space program that was mentioned prior. So because the space program is something that's going to be kind of secret and isolated, we'll say that Anar Vargar and him pushing to colonize other planets in the system, maybe that's what makes him some sort of antagonist, because he has his own motives and his own plans. Good one. So, hey, that wraps up the Dorrinthians. A lot cooler than they were before, in my opinion. Apart from Makai Funuichi, there were no real prominent Dorrinthian player characters. So, with the lore that was just submitted, they are much more interesting now that we know more about them. So that seals the deal for the Dorrinthians. Of course, we'll be revisiting these, but not till way later, maybe after a few seasons, if there's anything we need to add when we add races and stuff. Again, this is more so to fill out and expand on what's already here. So when it's time to create characters, you have a foundation and platform. And I think we can all agree that with what we've been doing for each race, it's kind of putting things in perspective. I mean, I would like to think that some characters some players might even think about creating a new character or even changing their race. There's a lot of you who never even really, I don't think really thought much about your race, and you kind of had your own vision of, maybe you're just some white guy or some black dude, you know what I mean? Really want people to embrace these races and really represent that race, because at this point you're going to be representing an entire race. And you think about that. I even encourage people to become races that are not have not been used yet, so hey, I'm gonna stop blabbing here. We have a lot of work ahead of us. Stay tuned for the Doloman. We expanded on those as well. Then I'm going to get out the Ray Lagarian results. And then in the video that we just released with all the rest of the districts and races, we're going to cover that at a later time. I'll make sure that it's all visible when it's time to create characters. Hey, thanks for kicking it with me. Stay tuned. Hit that like button. Stoke the roaring flames of creation as they rain a hellfire of motivation and inspiration and epiphanies that land and crash into the ground, creating craters that in turn create more life. And a giant tree blossoms from the craters, giving a habitat for creative ideas to bloom into creatures of creation. You get what I'm saying? Do that. Like button. That's what happens.